So I have to re-record this video because I'm being wishy-washy again, and while what I want to say about Path of Exile 2 isn't changing, the context of which I do so is. So what I'll do is I'll post the original video that I initially recorded as private and talk to you about the game like this. So I want to start things off by saying I'm approaching both of the Path of Exile games as a casual player. I don't have hours and hours of time invested in the game. I don't have a firm understanding of all of its mechanics, and I haven't been around since the very beginning, or I don't even think I've ever even completed any of the leagues. So that's important going into this. I'm a casual player who just wants to have some fun with the game. Okay? Path of Exile 2, I'm playing. I have experience in the first game, is loaded with potential because it looks great in the environments. It's got great monsters. I was really excited about the control scheme being WASD, and that was the initial draw that pulled my interest into the second game. In addition to having that initial pull with the control system, it also has a much easier to understand skill system where the skills are not gems that are tied to your equipment. Instead, they're things that go in their own separate place, and you're able to upgrade them separate of your equipment, which is very important because one of my major frustrations with the first game is that getting new gear doesn't mean that you can necessarily use it, because if it doesn't have the right slots, then you can't put your skills in, and you need your skills in order to fight. So I'm currently experiencing a situation in the first game right now where I haven't upgraded my armor in a long time because I just can't find anything with the right slots, and I'm heavily reliant on the skills that I have. And Path of Exile 2, I don't have that issue. Where I do have an issue with Path of Exile 2, however, is the fact they included a dodge button. Now, you would think that the inclusion of a dodge button would be great for mobility and both combat and just being able to move out of the way of attacks, but I'm going to be completely honest with you, that dodge roll feels like butts. It's horrible. There have been tons of times where either the game lags or just the iframes just don't feel quite right, and it gives the entire game this sense of being a very cheap isometric Dark Souls-like, and I am very, very sick of Souls-like games personally. And it's especially bad because all of the boss fights that I've encountered in my time of playing seem to be almost demanding you to make proper use of that dodge mechanic, and it just doesn't feel good to do. Difficulty doesn't really have anything to do with it. In fact, I enjoy Path of Exile for being difficult in certain areas. It keeps the game engaging, and I'm not bored whenever I'm playing it. But if I don't like the way the controls work, then I'm not excited to play several hundred more hours, which seems to be the standard for Path of Exile. It's especially frustrating because I know that the developers could easily implement WASD into the first game, but are actively choosing not to. Path of Exile 1 doesn't need a dodge button, but having WASD would just be an extra option for a control scheme. Great for accessibility and, not putting extra wear on my already abused mouse. Now, the fact that you have to pay $30 right now in order to get access to the Path of Exile 2 Early Access has put me in a very conflicting situation. In the original video that I recorded, I said that I could spend $30 and hold on to this game that I'm not entirely sure about, or I could go back to Path of Exile 1, which I already enjoy, is free, and in a couple months, Path of Exile 2 will also be free, and it will be a better experience. Because I expect that this studio is going to fine-tune the game, add in a bunch more content, and just make it a better game. I trust them to do that. Grinding Gear games has proven themselves over the years. But some people that are, some other friends that I have that are playing the game have brought it to my attention that one of the major features that I was interested in, being guilds, is already implemented in Path of Exile 2, and I'm incredibly curious as to how that sort of thing works. Especially because up until now, I've only played both of the games by myself. I've never been in a party, I've never played it with a friend. So I think I'm very interested in seeing how guilds work. Even if I don't end up making my own guild, which is kind of what I want to do, maybe joining somebody else's guild could be fun as well, depending on what sort of mechanics are included in that. So, while I originally did refund Path of Exile 2, I'm going to go ahead and rebuy it back and just eat the L and hold on to the game for now. Again, I'm not saying that Path of Exile 2 is necessarily a bad game. I'm just saying that I currently enjoy Path of Exile 1 as far as the gameplay mechanics, the moment-to-moment stuff, much more than Path of Exile 2. But I think mechanically speaking, Path of Exile 2 is significantly easier to understand, more user-friendly, and more beginner-friendly than the original game. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. I did encounter one bug that definitely had a major negative impact, and that being, I had the stat requirements to use a melee weapon, because I wasn't really a fan of how magic felt. But for whatever reason, my character just would not equip the weapon. A friend of mine told me that that was a bug that has been patched since I've refunded. So when I get the game back, I'm going to verify that that's the case and see if I can try some sort of magic melee hybrid build. Hopefully the game facilitates that sort of customization, because I'm very upset that Path of Exile 2 is still doing the gender-specific classes. I don't think that that sort of thing is necessary, and I think the way people boast about these games having a bunch of character freedom as far as how you build your classes and your abilities and skills and stuff, being limited in that aspect is very much not fun. Like, there are plenty of guys that want to cast magic just as much as I want to be a lady who uses a sword or an axe or something. It just doesn't make sense, and it's another one of those things that they're choosing to do. This isn't something that they can't do. But that's going to do it for me. Let me know what you think about Path of Exile and Path of Exile 2 down in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and you can expect a little bit more content from both of the games in the future. I'll see you guys in another video.